Hello, my cat loving friends. We have a special treat for you today. A fellow behaviorist. No one can pronounce his last name, so we call him DQ. He founded Go Cat Go, and he has been doing great work in San Francisco. He is very like-minded to Rita and I. We are eating up his social media and his tips, and we will be right back after this word from our sponsor to talk to DQ. Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I am your co-host, Linda Hall, here with the ever lovely blonde bombshell, my BFF, my work wife, my ride or die, Rita Reimers.
Don't look so close because the roots are white. But anyway,
those are just sparkly blondes.
I have known about DQ for years, and I don't know what has taken me so long or us so long.
Good
to
question.
reach out. Let's go right to him and find out.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Call me DQ because my last name is Quagliozzi. See, I can't.
Quagliozzi.
You can't
okay, that's
say
not
it
how I
either.
would have spelled it. I would have said, yeah, you can't even say. What did I tell you, folks? Because no one can say his last name, including him. Okay, just
You know what's cool though? Your nickname is DQ, so every time you hear a Dairy Queen commercial, I think of you every time.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely going to keep me from branding my my initials too far.
Yes, yeah, that's true. You can't, yeah. So you started doing behavior in 2002, which just blew me because so many people still don't know behaviorists exist, right? And there aren't enough of us. So I'm thrilled that you've been doing this since 2002.
Yes, since the year before Just for Cats Pet Sitting opened. He's
Oh
been
my
at this
goodness.
longer
Yeah,
than
that's
I
like
have.
forever. Yes, that's like forever. So tell us about your start and how you got where you are.
I moved here to San Francisco in the late 90s. So it's like in my late 20s. And I found myself, at one point I was working, we had a .com explosion here, and things were really going
Yes.
great. Then suddenly, boom, it all crashed. So I found myself looking for a new job. I had a friend who was volunteering at the San Francisco SPCA. And I just thought, well, while I'm looking for a job, I'll volunteer. So I volunteered for almost a year socializing cats. And one of the things I really loved about it was the interface with people coming in and matchmaking them to the cats. So while I worked there, a job did happen to open up. I took that entry-level job working as an adoption matchmaker and really sort of just gained a lot of experience learning not only about cats, but dogs too.
Sure.
Right.
And human nature and how that plays into cats and dogs being surrendered.
Very much
So
so.
after my I was there from 2002 to 2012, and in that scope of time I did get a focus on cat behavior, became a cat behavior specialist, working in intake, rehoming, and education. So with our cats coming in, we had often cats with behaviors that were challenging, fear, aggression, extra playfulness, anything that might lead to a bite or a scratch. We had to make sure that we had volunteers who were visiting those cats correctly, but also collecting information that we could convey to the public so that we could matchmake those cats correctly. So it was a long scoping career at the SPCA with a focus on cats that led me to leaving and then starting my own business to hopefully stop people from surrendering cats.
Amen. Amen.
Back in 2012, there weren't a whole lot of resources, especially for in-home.
No, there wasn't.
Yes,
You're right.
yes. And a lot of people still don't know. Every once in a while, a client will say, my vet said, I think this is behavioral. You need to seek out a behaviorist. And we're like, yay for your vet. We love your vet. Who is your vet? We're sending them a thank you card.
Yeah, most of the time the vets say Prozac and feel away.
Or surrender.
Yeah, no, or prescription diet. There's either one of the three things they have that they're readily kind of giving as a replacement for behavior modification or behavior help. But I think when I started, there were only a handful of us. Now there are probably a handful in every major city, which is great. It brings awareness to
Zoom has helped that to help people find us more accessible.
Yeah, we have found, because we're in different states, we really can't do in-home. We did a couple years ago when we were in the same spot and just happened to be, but we have to do Zoom because of being so far apart. But we've had clients in Spain and Mexico and Hong Kong.
That's
and
so
I mean,
cool.
we've been everywhere. It's
universal.
So cool.
People love their cats.
Yes. Yes,
That's
one thing remains, country to country. We love our cats, right?
yeah, yeah. I think with COVID happening, we were all, I'm sure, scrambling to figure out how we would still give our guidance to people.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
at least Zoom for me gives me a pathway to help cats that might not even have come out when I went to their house, or
Mhm.
you spend an
Exactly.
hour at somebody's house with a cat under the bed. You're not
Yes.
really, it's hard to implement change uh,
Truth.
in that
Yep.
kind of a scenario. So
But
Zoom,
you still do, for those that want in-home, you still in the San Francisco Bay Area do in-home, right?
I'm still available for that.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
I started again last year and mostly work close to where I live here in San Francisco, but
right.
I'm willing to drive at least 40 miles
That's
to,
Wow. In
amazing.
San Francisco traffic, that's a lot. That says a lot about your
yeah,
dedication to
Yes.
helping people
40
with
miles
their
is an hour.
cats.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's like LA. It's a whole nother metric to determine your timing.
Yeah, it takes talent to drive in those metroplex areas.
Yes. Yes. So
So what do you think is the most common reason people call you DQ?
I think I'm sure as all of us cat consultants, the first thing that pops in our head is litter box avoidance, right? Like the
Yes.
most popular usually is some sort of life altering thing that happens in your home that you just can't take anymore, right? So usually it's a cat peeing outside of the litter box or on your stuff on your property,
Yep.
or more commonly or just as common, it's maybe a cat not getting along with another cat. New additions were big for the last 3 years.
yeah.
COVID did enable a lot of folks to add more cats to their house, and there were a lot of cats at home who were just like, "What the hell is happening? Why is this happening?"
Yep.
So I
Yes.
think intercat aggression, intercat dynamics is always a big, big thing. And even the simplest things, the quality of life stuff that bothers everybody. A cat that meows a lot, so like
Yeah, we've seen an uptick in that one too.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is that there are some problems that are universal that most people can't deal with. That like of course, peeing on your pillow every day is something that's going to be something you
Yeah,
don't just live around, right?
I did.
But
Yeah,
a
I'll pass.
cat who meows a lot, I explain is like this is a cat who is expressing something. There's whether it's boredom, it is frustration. There's a deficit somewhere in this cat's day, and there's now a catharsis happening on your watch that you have a hard time living with. So honestly, and I'm sure you ladies know, every cat behavior problem, no matter what it is, bounces right back to the guardian because
Yes.
changes are in an environment that is captive, a house,
Yes.
captive place. The human changes that. The human
Mhm.
has the ability to change the environment and inform those cats better. And my feeling is when cats have better expectations of their day, when they have places to put their frustration,
Right.
and
Exactly.
it's always activity, interactive play, food puzzle work, like all these things that we have now learned are ways to fill our cat's cup. Um,
Yes.
most people in an average 24-hour day devote 15 minutes or 30 minutes to some kind of interaction with their cat.
Yeah.
Simply
And the
not
rest
enough.
of the time they're bored, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your
Well,
cat
I
is
always
so
say, if you look at any big cat sanctuary, a zoo, look at those habitats. They are not a TV and a sofa. They are a habitat that is natural to the animal who lives there. Cat's DNA is 96%, 96 point something
Yeah.
percent similar to tigers. Their DNA has changed very little since domestication, which isn't really domestication.
That's a
These
whole
are
nother
wild animals. And yes, and we bring them into our house and go, here you go.
right. Well, there's the myth of cats being a low maintenance,
Yeah, so not
uh,
true.
non-conditional. Like they have fallen into this place where people think it's an easy pet to have because you can just leave food out and water and needs can be met. They're very self-sufficient, which
Don't have
isn't
to take them outside.
As far as
But
that
there's more
goes,
to
but
it.
they still need a lot of attention, especially depending on the breed. If you've got a Bengal, you really need to spend a lot of time with that cat.
Yeah, people do not know what they're getting themselves into.
No,
Those
they
cats.
don't.
Yeah, no, the popularity of hybrid cats, and I will blame social media, because social media creates
The
a celebrity
desire.
of
Yeah.
cats that
Yes.
look amazing, and the human behind that cat has an ego that enables, is using this cat to enable their own popularity, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hybrid cats, especially, I find a lot of my clients purchase these cats, but then find out the hard way that they are now living with a cat that is not compatible with their own lifestyle or their own environment.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Or they bring one in when they've already got a domestic short hair or something, and then wonder why there's problems.
Yes, and this cat doesn't act like that cat. Before I even come into work with my domestic short, medium, long hairs, I mean, nobody in here is any pure anything, including me. And so before I even come in here, we play, and then I feed them, and I often turn on YouTube videos for them. And you can see behind me, there's cat grass on my bed. The beds are on my bed. There's some silver vine licky dots on my bed, because I need to work now and you need to leave me alone. So I need to set up enrichment for you, right? Do it
Yes.
every night. I set up scavenger hunts. Of course, there's 12, but I set up scavenger hunts for them. It's work and thought.
A lot of people don't do it too, Linda. When I was a professional cat sitter for all these years, I'd go into a home sometimes, and the only thing that showed there was any kind of pet there was a food bowl and a water dish.
Right.
No environment enrichment, no cat trees, no toys, nothing.
Or they keep them in the basement, or they keep them in the garage because they don't want them looking up their
Yes.
aesthetic. Don't
Right.
mess with my aesthetic. If you're not willing to have a little cat, and there's some really cool things you can do. There's some very cool cat furniture and things that you can do that
Oh yeah.
aren't typical cat, but it's part of the deal. It's like saying, I want to have a baby, but I am not carrying a diaper bag, and don't you bring in changing tables and strollers and stuff, because I'm not having all that crap in my house, right?
Right.
I just want the baby, and it'll just sit there and do its thing.
The evolution of cat furniture becoming stylish has a lot to do, I think, with people being more accepting of
Yeah.
being
Agreed.
like cat people. As the years of beige carpeted cat trees and scratching posts, well, they still exist and people still buy
Yes.
them.
Yes.
People now, like, especially I'm in San Francisco, this is a very aesthetic city.
Oh
So when I
yeah.
Yeah.
go to a house and I look around, I actually have to tell a person, listen, I don't see any cat stuff, but I do know these 3 dealers that sell these really great cat trees. Like, I have to have my finger on the pulse
That's
Mhm.
great.
in order to make sure that they comply with my advice.
Yeah.
But I
Mhm.
think, the double-edged sword of having a cat is that you get better results from a cat when they know your routines, when they can expect
Excuse me.
your routines,
Yes.
and vice versa. When you're providing a routine to a cat that bears fruit, a food puzzle every day at 3 o'clock in the bathroom means that at 2:45, your cat is at the bathroom, right? So they have
Yes.
expectations.
Yeah.
And
They
Yes.
expect the routine that you've set up.
Yes.
right? So where we come in is to get people preemptive, to say, like, every day at 4 o'clock your cat does this. Well, why aren't you working on something that happens between 3 and 4 o'clock to get ahead, to expend
Mhm.
the energy so your cat puts it in a better place?
Yes. Yes.
I hate
100%.
for us, this is a good time for us to take a break. I hate for us to do it, but let's just do it right here. And
All
we'll
right.
be right back in just a few minutes. And we're back with 19 Cats and Counting and the awesome DQ. And of course, my gorgeous BFF, Linda Hall.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Keep it coming. Keep it going. We'll work for compliments.
I wanted to go backwards a little bit to where you were matching cats with people, right?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting and very useful skill to have, because that right there, you match them right. Hopefully you won't see them back in the shelter.
Right. Yeah. I think, when you have a vested interest in a cat's length of stay,
Mhm.
which most shelters do, that's the number they're all looking at. How long are our cats staying? We don't want that number to be big, right? We want them to be in and to come out.
Yeah.
So most
Yeah.
shelters, what they'll do is they'll bring in cats that are easy to place and come in and out, but then you have a smaller percentage that move on a slower lane of traffic.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
So when you're working with those slower lane traffic cats, you're trying to make sure that you don't have a return. This cat doesn't bounce back and forth. and get this whole, not only the bad experiences of acclimating and coming back to the shelter, but a track record behind them that someone ultimately is going to look at. What? 3
Yes.
returns,
Yeah,
right?
there must be something wrong with this cat. This cat is clearly defective.
Right. So when you're in that position, as a matchmaker, I will say I was confronted with my own prejudices. I was confronted with my own assumptions of
Sure.
people.
Mhm.
You're looking at a human being, and what they write on paper is one thing, but how you feel about them is another.
Sure.
So when you're talking to people and this cat has a certain requirement for space, maybe can't live in a house with other animals, children, has known to bite adults, so we want someone who's savvy. And then a family of 5 comes in, they have fallen in love with that cat, and now you are the person who has to tell them no, right?
Mhm.
Like that's challenging. That's challenging work. So you're an advocate. You're advocating for a cat who you either know and have, like in my case, I had my hands on all of those cats and we're working on behavior modification
Mhm.
plans,
Right.
all that. So I would be the one maybe you call down for the cat that's already been kind of pre-interviewed, and they're like, they're really great people. They just, we just want to have that you come down and talk to them about the fact that this cat has, 3 broken skin incidents in 3 months or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not an unadoptable cat, although San Francisco, if a dog bit and broke skin, would never be adopted. That's a no-go.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it depends on the circumstances, but some dogs, if they have a history of biting and breaking skin, you can't place that dog. That's
Mm.
Wow.
It's a danger.
a lot of liability, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with a cat, it's different, and you can
Yeah.
kind of find different scenarios. They're not public nuisances. They're not going to
Yes.
walk into a Safeway store and bite a cashier.
Yes.
I
So
hope not.
we, as gatekeepers of these animals, had to, sometimes you take a risk. Sometimes you go with your instinct and not what's on paper.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I had so many people come in that were, in our city, we have a homeless problem. We always have. And we have folks that are transitioning from homeless life to regular life. And
Mhm.
most of them live in what's called an SRO, which is a single room occupancy hotel.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Halfway, right?
Yep. Like a halfway kind of, yeah.
Before I did home visits as a cat consultant, I did home visits for SPCA where I would go to those hotels, and because we're like, this guy seems sketchy. He came in, he lives in a hotel. Let's at least go look at it. And I would go and go to like the worst neighborhood in town and go to this and find the humanity in this human being who
Sure.
wants a cat,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Go, God, if I was in his place and I wanted a cat and I just needed love and I was in this room, like, so, I'd come back with a report like, adopt the cat to him. Just do it. Like,
I love.
It's better than letting the cat live in a cage, for one thing.
yeah, like,
And
what-
and
Yeah.
if the guy really shows a genuine interest in taking care of this animal, why not?
that is
Yes.
truly it. Do you want to, like, what is better? To warehouse a cat for another month in our nice shelter, or to let it move on
Mm-hmm.
a life with another person? We cannot predict what's going to happen, or his life will
Exactly.
be
No.
successful, but we are making our best.
Exactly. Yes.
The most
They're
well-dressed person in the world that lives in a mansion could be the worst
biggest
pet
jerk.
parent.
Exactly. Well, yes, definitely. We've seen that. Yes.
Yes, we
And
have.
sometimes those who have the least value what they have the most.
Imagine you're coming into the SPCA and you want to adopt a cat, and some dude is behind the other side of the counter with a blue mohawk and black eyeliner and nail polish, and he's covered in tattoos. That's me.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say,
I'm-
it depends on what city you're in. In some
Don't tell me
cities,
you
they
can't
wouldn't
have
bat
that.
an eye.
No, you're not good enough for this cat, right? Like, like that.
Who are
So-
you to tell me, Mr. Mohawk? Right? Yes.
San Francisco is diversity. It has
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
I would never be who I am today if I did not move here at the age of
Yeah,
25.
if you lived in Lancaster, yeah,
wonderful.
no, that wouldn't fly.
I came here from New Jersey. It was a different life.
Oh my gosh, New Jersey. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, I don't like it that stuff, but I've had a very diverse life. So nothing really, I get shocked when people hedge because we've had people hedge about things, where does the cat sleep at night? And finally they admit that they're in a
Yeah.
same-sex relationship. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
care
we
who
don't
you
care.
sleep with, sweetheart. I really couldn't care less.
Sometimes those people are our best clients because they
Well,
seem
yeah.
to. I've never had a gay or lesbian couple come to us and say, if you don't cure this, I'm getting rid of the cat. Never, ever, not once.
It's true. It's true. We joked once that we were going to be LGBTQ only.
I wish.
We've met some wonderful straight parents, but it just seems to be a theme. But there are a couple of things I read on your website. It's not about making cats change or how we can control their actions. It's about surrendering ourselves to the way of the cat.
Correct.
I don't know. Rita, do you
Great.
remember Swedish
Yes.
Housewives?
Oh
Swedish
gosh, yes,
Housewives.
we did an episode of Swedish Hollywood Housewives, and it
Hired
didn't-
Rita to come talk to this lady about her
Yeah,
cat.
it was horrible.
And when it was
Linda went with me.
over and we saw the show, of course, I had to put the translations on. She was like, typical. It's all about what I'm supposed to change. They didn't address the cat. And I'm like,
Okay.
no, that was exactly what we're.
Yeah, it was in
Apparently-
Swedish, so Linda did run through the translators, and when we found out what she said, oh yeah, we said
I
email
wrote to her,
We
I
were
reamed her
hot.
one, but it's like, what did you think we were gonna do? Turn the cat counterclockwise 4
Yeah.
times, and then
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
fix it. What do you want from?
Right.
We're gonna wave our wand. Poof, you're fixed.
I think that nails it. Like well, earlier when we were talking off camera, we were talking about expectations, right?
Mhm.
And unrealistic expectations. And I will say, especially in where I live here in San Francisco, this is a very tech heavy city.
Oh, for sure. Mhm.
And everyone who has moved here in the last decade mostly is, living and working in tech and lives that tech lifestyle. So when I'm Zoom calling with some folks, they're Zoom calling like we're in a tech meeting, and they're using lingo, management lingo and
Sure.
conference
Yes.
lingo. And that's where I start to think like, okay, they're going to want me to give them a solution that happens tonight, like something they can do tonight or tomorrow.
Produce the formula, please.
What are the action items that I should be doing? Like how do you quantify results? Like, okay, great. Quantify.
When do I take them out and let them be together?
That's the biggest one we get.
When
yeah,
they
yeah.
stop hissing and growling at each other.
Right.
When will this be over? How long do you think this is going to take? Sweetie, my crystal ball's in the shop. I
Especially the
don't know.
ones that have had their cats separated for like 2 years, and they expect 1 week of what we tell
Yeah.
them is going to fix it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or you give them
yes.
a perfectly great foundation of advice that is going to probably take time.
Yes,
And
I
definitely.
want to take that.
later, week 2, they give you an email that says, we tried all that. Now what? What are the next steps?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
you know darn well they did not try all that.
same steps.
Well, and it's not long enough. Your cat, especially with integrations, your cat is literally afraid. And I always tell, we always get that this one's the aggressive bully and this one's the victim. There's no bullies and victims. You have 2 scared cats. One chooses fight, one chooses flight.
That's right.
And they are literally in fear for their lives, honey. If Freddy Krueger comes through my back door, don't ask me how long before I'm ready to hug him, okay? I don't know. There's going to have to be a lot of proving and some putting away of the finger knives before
Right.
I get there.
Right.
That's
I
exactly.
always tell people our goal is never going to be friendship. Tolerance is our best case scenario.
Yes, we
I
always
would
say
say
passive
peaceful
coexistence.
coexistence. Yes, we could. Yes, we had a client very early on who said, "I just can't wait till they're best friends." And we're like, "Whoa, back up your expectations, buddy. We
That's
shoot
a
for
bonus. That
coexistence.
happens.
If
I'm
that
so glad to hear
happens-
you feel the same way, DQ.
Yeah,
Well, you-
I just think that things, is what I try to convey with my clients is that, especially with cats getting to know each other or introductions, that if it does not feel organic or free will based to your cat, in other words, if you're forcing them to see each other each day, you're putting them in a situation where they eat a meal inches from each other, that will never make them feel better about each
No.
other. But if they feel like they had the choice to be there,
Oh my gosh.
walk
You're
away.
just like us.
we love you.
I
Yes.
love you.
There's so many people. Well, I watched a video and so I got their food and I started out 6 feet apart and I moved it closer.
No,
And
no,
my
no, no,
answer
no.
to that is always, no one needs to be this close to your face unless you're making out with them.
And some cat personalities, even though they are eating, that is not a mind eraser. It does not make this cat suddenly go, oh, food? He's okay. Your cat is eating there against their best interest. They're trying to get that meal done, right? So I work on staggering that moment where they come face to face really doesn't need to happen. What they need to be is aware of each other without consequences that they can rely on every day.
Yes.
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 And I've said, visual distance. if they can see each other, even if it's 2 rooms away, and not have a reaction, we just won. Okay. Victory. So you can't, you don't need to get them up in each other's grills as long as they can see each other. It could be 2 rooms away. If they
Well,
can
how
see each
about
other and smell each other, we're there.
How about the people that send us videos? You've probably experienced this too, DQ, and nothing bad is going on except the pet parent is like, oh my God, something's going to happen. So that makes the cats nervous.
Right. That's precisely the videos you're watching are cats that are unsure, but it's being metered by an energy that is now conveyed from a helicopter above them. And that's what I say, like, that's not organic. You're there. You understand, like, your presence pushes the scale down one way for the cat who's bold, is like, yay, we're all here now. See, she's here, I'm here.
Yeah.
Or the cat who feels like a bully, like they truly don't, it's not that they don't care, but I don't think they don't really understand. Well, they don't revere our presence
Yes. True.
highly in moments of stress. It doesn't often make them feel better
Yeah.
to be a cat carrier on the way to the vet with a hand there with them. Like, that's not going to erase that moment for them.
Yeah. This is still awful. Yeah.
So these, videos I get sent by people, and then I talk to them and I say, hey, look, we're gonna start this off with me telling you, I think things are probably better than you think they are. And then you can see that, like, they sort of like drop their
They relax.
you are almost there. But what you need to do is walk away. Like, you need to allow them the time they need to do this. You don't, because you get a narration video where it's like the couple is on one side of the gate, husband on one side, wife on the other. What's she doing? She's eating. She's eating. Is she looking? Is she looking? No. What is she doing? She's
How are her ears?
Your cats know you're there doing that. Like, you're not invisible in that moment,
We have a client who's also a very dear friend, and we understand why people feel this way. You don't want your cat to get hurt. You're
talking about who
scared.
we just finished.
So yes,
yeah,
and so
she came to my mind
she's
too.
very nervous, and we had a follow up today. And I'm just really afraid they're gonna kill each other. And her OG cat is a senior, and she wants to respect her boundaries. Get it 100%, but she's working in mom mode, right? Not cat parent mode. And so as we were talking, she's going to show me, because the one cat goes to get on the bed, and it was lovely. I mean, the older cat was a little nervous. The younger cat sniffed her about once, and she allowed it, which, hello, huge. The second time she went, and so the client said, I can't believe she didn't do this, and that. I can't believe. And I said, can I tell you a secret? You are more relaxed because you're talking to us and have us here in your ear.
We distracted her. Yeah.
And we distracted you from the fit, and they were able to do their thing without you freaking out. It was just, we got to get over ourselves, right? Like,
I know. And speaking of that, you offer some workshops for cat parents.
Yeah. Pre-COVID, I'm probably going to start them up again this year, maybe in the summertime. But I was doing a class. I pretty much call all of my classes Live in the Meow. It's
love
just
that
slogan I always use, just to get people in a headspace of being mindful with their cats, because I feel cats are very mindful creatures.
Yes.
But Live in the Meow was a class I started to just do basic cat behavior guidance, but then realized that I was teaching a self-help recovery class for cat people. So when we would meet, I'd be like, okay, so everyone here is suffering with an issue. And, it's like we're all like, I hate to say, victims of cat behavior.
Yeah.
But, when you have everyone sitting in a circle in a cat cafe, it feels like an AA meeting. Like, I just sort of turned it into that.
My name is Rita, and I'm a cataholic.
Yes. My name is Linda, and I'm a cataholic. Yes.
100%. My cat howls till 5 a.m. So I'll probably be starting those up again. For the most part, what I'm doing now is just Zoom calls to people, and any location, home consults in the Bay Area, and and shelter work. I still am working with San Francisco Animal Care and Control, which is a city shelter.
And that's wonderful.
So the workshops are in person, Daniel?
Yeah,
do Do you plan to offer Zoom workshops so that people I would love to take your class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. The last one I did on Zoom was I think it was last September.
Mhm.
But yeah, I
Yes.
welcome 15 to 20 people in a room. You send the questions ahead of time and we round robin.
That's so great. I just love that you said, talking about spookers on your website, for cat guardians that want to surrender themselves, not their cats,
Right.
and live in the meow. Praise
That's
Jesus.
exactly what we strive for.
You're not compromising, if you're not letting go and, giving in, then you're not living with a cat.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I tell Rita has never had human children, and she was constantly saying, although I think I've got her to stop it.
You do.
Well, I'm not a mom, and I keep saying, you're more of a mom than you think you are. I mean, there's so many things, there's so many similarities, not to anthropomorphize, that word didn't come out, of the cats, but they come in and you are responsible for their life, their well-being, and everything they have, and they're dependent on you.
Once
And
I
that
cross
is
my
very
threshold,
similar.
they're here for life.
Exactly. And, I've raised 8 kids, 3 biological, 5 steps. Every one of them was so vastly different and needed their needs met. And it's, the girly girl, the jock, it's everything. And
Our
it
cats
may
are the
not
same
be
way.
that
They're all different.
picture. Exactly. It may not be that picture you had in your mind of what your kid was going to grow up to be like, but
Right.
it's still your kid. You accept them and you meet them where they are. And that's with the cats, right? I took you in, I promised you sanctuary and the best life possible. So I'm going to get to know you and meet you where you are.
That's right. If you got to roll with it, because, I always say cats call the shots.
They do.
If you're not working around them and you're resisting them, you're never going to get anywhere. Resistance, what do they say on Star Trek? Resistance
is futile.
Resistance is futile.
Yes,
Ooh, I like.
is futile. That's true.
I hate that we're running a short of time, because we could probably do a whole nother session. We'd love for you to come back.
Yes, please.
But what departing thoughts, Daniel, would you like to share with our listeners, and how can they book you to come to their home?
Sure. What's really heavy on my mind lately is the influence of social media on cat welfare. And I think that there are a lot of, trends that people are following, some of them very dangerous, some of them semi funny, but also borderline dangerous for cats. So, I am a firm believer in influencing empathy and influencing compassion.
Yes.
And that's, if we start to really work on our messaging with people and getting them to understand that cats actually do feel that for playing a prank on a cat, they don't have the sense of humor you think they do. Yeah, I mean, influencing empathy, I think, is the most important.
Yeah.
That we can use social media for, and I do that through my platform on all social media platforms at GoCatGoSF. You can find
And that's
me
your
there.
website too, gocatgosf.com, right? And that's where people can book you either for a virtual consult or an in-person one, if you're lucky enough to live in San Francisco.
Yes, I have to go visit sometime. I have a cousin living there somewhere. I don't know where he is, but I will have to go make an excuse to visit. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Visit the website, visit all the social media. You've had some great tips and things on there. Rita and I really enjoy your content. And you've got some great tips, and you got to download. What is it? 5 something steps.
Oh, I have it right in
PURRsonal.
front of me here. Well, I thought I did. I did for a minute. Now it's not
steps
there.
to PURRsonal or something that you
there
can
it is.
download.
5
So
steps to PURRsonal.
That's it.
And
so
I will
a lot of
include
great
the
resources
links when we upload the video to YouTube. I don't think Pet Life Radio lets me do them to the Pet Life Radio. I try.
We'll see. Yeah.
So we want to have you back. We always learn something when we talk to another behaviorist, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think the more we all share behavior and the more people know we're out there, the more parents, cat parents particularly, will seek our help.
Honestly, I think that's what attracted me to begin with, was like, your name is Behavior Alliance, and I thought, about time,
That's what we're trying to do. We're building an alliance.
And align ourselves with people that we trust that have holistic this or that, or, you're in this area, that area, those that you can trust, because there's so much out there and it's so confusing. People don't know what to get. So I like to have places to go, and we're all in
yeah.
this together
We
for
don't
the
see
same
other-
purpose.
We don't see other behaviorists as competitors. In fact, we're
Not at all.
mentoring a new behaviorist now.
Yeah.
There-
Yeah.
No more of us need to be out there, and there's plenty of cats to go around.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is.
Thanks for sewing that web work together, because it's important. And I agree, like there's an air of competition, especially when you're
little
doing media. And people are protective, and I just wish we would all collaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, we're not that protective. We wanna collaborate.
I know we're over, but I did the math one day. I took the estimate that they said for how many cats are surrendered, and then how many of those cats are surrendered for behavior issues. And it came up that an estimated 134,400 cats are surrendered to U.S. shelters every year for behavior problems only. That's not private rescues. That's not kicked out of the house. That's just surrendered.
Okay.
And that's just in the U.S. 134,400.
That's just the ones we
Rita
know
and I
about.
cannot handle 134,000.
No, we cannot.
by ourselves.
No, we
So
cannot.
Bring on the behaviorists. There's no competition. Jump in the pool.
We're happy you're
We'll
out there
help
with
you.
us,
Yes.
paddling the boat with us.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes it
Bailing
feels
out
more
the
like
ocean.
pushing back the ocean. Yes.
Say bailing out the ocean with a shot glass,
That's
Yeah,
feels
that's
like
really what it's
some
like.
days. Yes.
Well, GQ, you're welcome back anytime.
love to.
When you start your workshops up again, come be on our show. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Linda, of course, I have to always thank you for being my ride or die. She's the only one that compliments me to no degree because she wants something.
Yeah, I'm building up for when I cash those in. Stay tuned.
And we're always grateful to Mark Winter, our awesome producer, owner of Pet Life Radio, who gave us this show on his network. Thank you so much for making us sound so good. And remember, until next time, every day is Saturday. Okay.